Hi guys, welcome along to our show. Happy Saturday evening. Not really where we'd be on Saturday night. Prime goes hunting time, prime goes in the day. But sadly, lockdown and everything else, we revert sort of Skype really. So welcome to our newest sort of show. We've been doing a show on a Sunday evening. But due to ghost hunt at the moment, no mixed households and lockdown, tears this, tears that, we've been refraining from travelling doing this. So we missed ghost hunting. So we just decided to think, do you know what? The best way we can, the best thing we can do, and the best is to come live to you, sort of share what's going on with us, and just really start talking ghosts. Because if not, we're going to go mad. And I know we've been having conversations with the team and for lots of people we speak to that sadly we're at a situation where we're not sure when we're going to get back out there at the minute. Just want to try and probably get the Christmas out of the way and general sort of, tier 2 out of the way, hopefully. And then we can start looking at it again. We hosted our last event on the 29th of October, which was at Kingston Prison, which was good. But still, if I'm honest, we were sort of on the cusp of mixing 6 households and so on. So we just said as a group, let's knock it on the head. Let's wait to see how... what happens with Boris and what he decides to tell us next, and whether he's going to lock us up or shut us down, and go from there. Really, loads of really new, exciting venues that we want to go to. Some old ones we can't wait to get back. And I'd investigate anywhere now. Someone's garden shed if someone let me. I just desperately get back out there now. But so we're gonna try and bring a new show to you. We haven't really discussed it how often yet, but we're going to bring a new sort of new show to you. Talking about everything ghost hunting, talking about what we do, where we're going. And I think as we evolve and when we go and do new events and stuff, it'd be good to bring the evidence to you, what we're doing, what we're up to, where we've been and where we're going to. So this show can evolve once we do get back out there as well, because those that can't join us, we can either go live from an event, but certainly using this, Facebook Live, and then stream into YouTube and so on. And on our website, which is new, you go back, check it out now. It's all up and live. But for us, it's a new show. We've got Andy, Mary, Mark, and Hev. So we've got a few missing faces in terms of the team, but we're trying to alternate that and just keep it fresh and keep it a show that hopefully you'll find entertaining and want to get involved in. So that's it. That's basically it in terms of what we're going to be doing. In terms of the times may vary, days may vary if we've got investigations, but what we'll start doing is bringing this live to you on Facebook, and then what we'll also do is create events on Facebook so you're aware. You can pop it into your calendar, and then sort of be a part of the show moving forward. In terms of the format of this show, it's open. We want to try and get you guys as involved as possible. You don't want to sit and listen to me. The team have enough of listening to me to rabbit on for days after days. But this show will be nothing without you guys listening, asking questions, getting involved. So the format of the show will evolve. If we've had an event on, say, last week, we'll use this as an evidence review, like I've said. So you'll be able to sort of see where we've been. And the previous show we were involved in, we were bringing evidence to you. And actually it put a whole new spin on what we thought we heard. We brought our EVPs to you. And it was really interesting how a different view, a different perspective was able to sort of change what we thought we were hearing into into another thing actually that made sense. So we bring lots of evidence to you, but from the show sort of format idea really is ask questions, say hello, let us know where you're from, let us know who you are, if you've been with us or you're planning to go with us once our events are up and live. But really ask some questions. If we say something you agree with or disagree with or want more information on, then ask questions on the Facebook chat, and then what we'll do is we'll have sort of regular breaks and intervals where we'll be able to sort of bring those chats, review those chats. We'll stop speaking, and we'll stop speaking and review who's watching and review any sort of questions and stuff you've been saying. I'll try and stop speaking anyway. I can't promise that.
Good luck with that.
See her smirking down there then straight away, sort of smirking at me. But so because although this is, like I say, this is a sort of new old show, and there'll be people watching tonight that have never been with us before or don't know who we are, I'm going to give you a little bit of a background to SGS, the Southern Ghost Society, where it was born and where the idea came from, and sort of where we are at the moment, really. So Southern Ghost Society started back in 2010 with the sort of first couple of events and website going live sort of 2011. And then, from then I always sort of position it as a hobby that's grown completely out of control. It sort of taken over our life really and become sort of staple part of the weekend. So we do anything between 20 to 40 events a year. We travel the country. I'm not sure anyone knows, but we've been to Venice as well. I'm not sure you know that. Did you know that, Mark?
You don't, have you, Dan?
I mentioned that before.
But we've been up.
How many seconds in was that?
Yeah, 6 minutes that took me to mention Venice. But we've been up to Edinburgh, over to Wales. We've sort of gone right the way across the board. Really, not into Ireland yet, which is where we're going to be heading to. Well, we were heading to before lockdown, and where we want to try and get back into once the world stopped being crazy. But yeah, so first and foremost, we would position ourselves as a group of enthusiasts. So when you come on an event with us, when you interact with us, you're really just sharing our hobby. We're a group of enthusiasts that sort of like-minded people that join up and allow you the opportunity to join us and get involved in what we do. Really, we'll investigate anywhere. I guess we've investigated some weird and wonderful places, to the massive names of, I don't know, Edinburgh Vaults and the Hellfire Caves and the Warwick Castle. Yeah, we could be here all night, can we? We're thinking of sort of probably about 300 different venues. But we've also done smaller private events as well, in sort of pubs and social clubs we've done, and yeah, different places dotted around really. So we're not really averse to where we go, whether it's got the history or whether we're sort of the first ones in there. It's always good to get out there and check out what's going on really. And then yeah, sort of moving forward as a sort of events company, we invite you guys, the public, to join us. We have a team of, I get this right, and I now after this week, we have a team of 12. I think there's 12 of us, not missing anyone out this evening, but we have a team of 12. It's normally myself and my brother, who is busy this evening, and then who started the society together along with my dad. Yeah, and then literally the team of sort of 12 team leaders. I think it's 12. I think it is, isn't it? Not gonna name them. Just definitely someone else. So yeah, did I name them? No, maybe not. But yeah, so we've got a team of sort of 12 that come along and facilitate your night for you, but also they that we sort of investigate together and become a bit of group of friends really, as much as as much as team leaders and ghost investigators really. But so that's a little bit about us. Like I said, we're a group of enthusiasts, so we don't pay for mediums to come on to our events, although it is an area that fascinates myself, and yeah, always something we look into. But we don't tend to go down that route too much. We look at the scientific approach along with the sort of the older techniques of boards and rods and that sort of technique really. And we're just ghost nuts, I guess, that just want to go out there and so far try and prove what's not been proved or bring to you the evidence that sadly is lacking. Either a ghost that's caught off camera, or someone's had a personal experience, which is great but hard to quantify already. But so until we sort of capture a spirit or someone wandering up to us, shaking our hand, we'll be out there every weekend investigating. So that's us really.
One thought I had actually when you mentioned that point about the experiences kind of not being as good evidence as possible. One thing that what this could be very good for is when we start sharing more of the things with the court or experiencing locations. If someone else then communicates and say they've had the same sort of thing, then those two experiences then become evidence, which is quite unique. Definitely. We can't do that with videos, but we can certainly do it with these kind of back and forth discussions. Definitely.
When we've had that before. I mean, we always use one. Yeah, well, I won't say the name. I'm always giving the name away, but. We had some evidence once where we sort of sitting there and we're doing the rods or we're doing a board and it's sort of spelling out all weird and wonderful things, and then you write down a name and you write down a name and you write down a date, which means absolutely nothing, and then all of a sudden you get together, or 2 years later or a year later you compare your notes and you've actually had that name before and that profession and then so that is definitely good to hear. So it's great to hear amongst us as a team that's what happens, but yeah, it'd be quite hard hitting if anyone else has been to the same venue and picked up. We've got some some local venues we do that some good evidence that is great for us. But I mean, I'll probably look at your one, Andy, at Fort Widley, when we got the footsteps from above. It's happened a couple of times. The footsteps that you heard wasn't the floor at the time. It was it was a footstep on gravel, but it was grass underlay. That's great for us, and it's happened a couple of times, and great that we've got that evidence. But if someone else has witnessed that, that's also cool, and someone else has captured that. Be a good way to try and compare the evidence as well. So yeah, anyone's got any stories out there that they've had at local venues, especially when we go around, because we do a bit of an introduction of who's on the call in a minute, and sort of you can find out a little bit about their roles within the team and obviously a little bit about their background. If any of the stuff that sort of rings true about venues they've been to or anything they say, then yeah, ask questions, you know, and again, if you want to send any evidence into us or you want us to review anything, then we're more than happy to do that as well. We'll be able to sort of look for it for you and give our view. You know, from our perspective, what we think it might be, or you know, whether we've had any similar sort of experience. So yeah, get asking some questions really. So I might shut up for a little bit. Everyone gone deaf yet? So I think probably we've done the introductions to the team and to the show. It's probably best you find out who's on the show and who we are really. So Mary, you can start if you want.
Okay, I'll go first. So I'm Mary. I've been with SGS for 6 years now. What actually sort of got me on this path was I had an experience. I can't go into too much detail, but I had an experience when a family member passed away. It was a very bizarre sort of experience. I was in my own house at the time, and I sort of felt that there was someone behind me. I smiled, turned around and waved, and then sort of shook myself off, thought, why did I do that? That was a really weird thing to do. And then sort of, you know, it was a really nice feeling. It wasn't scary or anything like that. It was very, very warm feeling. But kind of sort of dismissed it because it was a Monday morning, and carried on to work. I then found out later on that it was the exact time that the family member passed away that I had that experience. So which was quite a profound sort of experience, and that set my curiosity off on that path. It took me a few years to get into the sort of the ghost hunting and stuff, sort of as we do now. But yeah, it certainly set my curiosity off. And now, you know, because I've been doing it for quite a few years, I've had sort of lots of experiences, lots of stories that I could probably share and probably take out the whole hour, but I won't. I won't. But if I was going to share sort of probably my best experience, would probably be Gloucester. So you guys have just sort of, you know, been to Gloucester, and previous to that I had an experience with another team leader, Jodie. It was the end of the night. We were just packing up. So unfortunately, as Dan said, you know, these things happen when you don't have a camera with you. You know, you don't capture it. But what was good was that both Jodie and I saw, maybe not exactly the same thing, but we saw something. And so I was in one room, Jodie was in another room or corridor, and we both called out to each other at exactly the same time. And I said, Jodie, stop, and Jodie said, Mary, come here. So we then sort of stopped, described what we had seen, and sort of, yeah, I had seen a shadow figure go across the door. And when I say shadow figure, it was more of an apparition, because I saw sort of the blonde hair or orange sort of hair, a white collar, and a flowing sort of dress. And I don't think I've ever described it to you guys. And recently I was discussing it with Andy, and he was doing some research to Gloucester Prison, sort of for the recent event, and what he had discovered, and I didn't know this, is that there were female prison wardens there. Again, I probably, sounds logical, but I just didn't even think about it. And he showed me a picture, and I'd actually done a diagram of what I'd seen, a little doodle. And yeah, the picture that he showed me and my doodle was just, it was absolutely spot on. The dress, the white collar round sort of the neck. Yeah, so that was a really good experience for me, and sort of, you know, took me on my path even further, I would say.
Good work. Gloucester Prison's it's a good event, and it's a good location, really. Last time was a bit frustrating battling with the seagulls, wasn't it? But yeah, we were interrupted last time by seagulls. That was a nightmare event, but yeah, still had bits that we couldn't explain. But yeah, it was a frustrating one. We just normally interrupted by members of the public or cars going past, not seagulls that we couldn't control. So yeah, interesting. But one we're definitely going back to. Gone in, Hev.
Okay, so I'm Hev. I've been with SGS for about 9 years now. Always been a little bit curious, I suppose, and I maintain the curiosity of what we do when we go out investigating. Each investigation is completely different. I like working with new and different people because it brings a different energy, different dynamic to the event. You never know quite what you're going to get, and that's what keeps you going with it. I initially went on an SGS event at the request of a friend, and I thought, yeah, okay, be a bit of a laugh, you know, let's go and see, let's go and do it, no problems at all. And it just piqued my curiosity. The way that the guys investigated then and continue now, there was just something about it that raised more questions than gave me answers. And it wasn't until I think it was about my third event, and we were at Victoria House, and we were doing one of the board sessions upstairs, and I wasn't sort of asking questions, but I was directing or suggesting questions to the lady that was nominated for that evening to ask the questions for that event. And I don't know, to this day I still don't know what made me take my finger off the glass, sit about 2 foot away from the table and just sit back and watch and just prompt with these questions. Anyway, you know, long story short, the end results of the board session was my mum that came through, and not being a little bit of a skeptic, and I was there, not so much now, I was sort of asking the types of questions that I knew that nobody else in that room would know, and had I had my finger on the glass, I wouldn't have believed it as much as I do. Every single question was answered spot on. There was no hesitation, there was no doubt, there was no ambiguity. They were very direct questions with a very specific answer, and every single answer was spot on. So from that moment on, I was just kind of hooked. So yeah, try as you might, you can't get rid of me now. I'm stuck with you guys, and that's what I try and bring to every event that we do, particularly when we have what we call the newbies, new people that have never investigated before. They start off being absolutely terrified or complete cynics at the beginning of the evening, and by the end of the evening, I'd like to think that 90% of them are hooked and would want to come on another investigation. So I think Victoria House for me is one of my favourite venues, and I love the fact that if we can, I know personal messages aren't for everybody, but if we can validate the information that comes out, it kind of gives more credence to what we're investigating. Initially, it was all very exciting to get noises and to get interaction. Now I want to know the person behind the noise, or, you know, I want to know that person's story. You know, I know that spirits or ghosts, whatever you want to call them, can make noises, can interact with us, can set off the equipment. That there's no question about that. I want to know deeper about who they are, how they operate, how they can do this. So I want to know now a little bit more about the science of the ghost, if you like, rather than, you know, just a ghost. So yeah, I've got a few more years investigating, I think, at least. So hopefully lockdown finishes next year at the earliest, can possibly be. We can get back out there and, you know, start investigating again and picking up where we've left off. So yeah, that's me.
So talk about your story and yeah, not going into the detail of it. You did the thing that not a lot of people do in terms of removing themselves from the glass, taking a complete step back, but then asking obscure questions. We get a lot of personal messages coming through where, you know, if we've got a group of people that have come along with us and it's a family around the board or a family conducting the experiment, it's difficult to remove everyone from the board. So if they're getting personal messages, everyone around that board knows the answers. So we're sort of taking it on face value that we're putting the trust that yes, it is a genuine message coming through, but for you guys to, for yourself to remove, take a complete step back, and then keep asking the questions, and obscure questions enough that you're not going to guess what color, what color did this,
What was the name of my uncle's dog? That was the question. The name of my uncle's dog. It was a specific dog. He had several, one in particular. Got the name, and it isn't a common, Fido type, Rover type, answer. And that's what I want to kind of bring to the investigations that we do, is to bring almost that detached scientific bit to the investigation, because it is quite emotive when it is a personal message, but it's also I'm certain there are spirits or ghosts out there that want to have some fun and want to just take the mickey out of us, if you like, and if they get an opportunity to, they will, and that can be really quite hard if it is somebody purporting to be somebody that you knew. So it's very, very hard trying to keep a lid on the emotional side of things, as well as being empathetic towards, because the last thing you want to do is disbelieve it is, great Aunt Agnes come through to talk to a, great niece or whatever. And actually it is, because it's just totally disrespectful. So it's finding that balance with the type of work we're doing, but also working with the group of individuals to make sure that if it is somebody, playing, having jokes at our expense, then, I don't want them to be upset. So yeah, it's a fine balance on an investigation sometimes.
We've always said as well that what we do is such a suggestive thing. So you think about the journey you would do. So the pre-journey before you come on one of our events. So you search the internet for ghosts. You find a company that does ghost hunts. You go on our website and read a write-up about how spooky this, and this guy here and the headless horseman's done this, and he throw you this down the stairs. You book a ticket. You come along. I turn the lights off and hand you a Ouija board. You can't get any more suggestive than this. And the mind is such a powerful thing. It's actually, I think some of our jobs, the most difficult thing of our job is grounding people. And we say, listen, you've had the big talk about ghosts and the lights have gone off and everyone's, the excitement and the stigma attached to this, that, and the other. Let's just sit down and breathe, right? The building will creak, the door, the building will settle down. If we're in someone like Widley, we're using, for example, bats and rats and creaking winds and motorbikes that go up and down that road. Let's just acclimatise ourselves to the things that are naturally going to happen, and then start investigating, And I think, like I say, the mind's such a powerful thing when you're doing boards and stuff like that. It's probably one of the hardest things is the battle against the person. Just say, listen, that was a bang, but that was probably me wandering around and
it's probably Dan walking into the room for your investigation.
You see that in the data we capture as well, that we get the most reports from people seeing things or witnessing things or reporting something paranormal at the start of the night, but also the highest amount of debunking, and then kind of as we get to the end of the night, the amount of things that people are reporting that we can debunk just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So I think it's just kind of getting used to the environment, isn't it, really?
Yeah, we went to, I always tell this story, we went to a venue, again, trying to remember, no names, but there was always a story about a screaming woman and, people capturing a scream. So we'd caught the scream the first time we went there, and then I think the second time we didn't, but then the third time we did. And I think it was myself and Simon were in this area, and we were taking down the cameras. At the end of the night, and as Simon stepped back down off the ladder, his foot squeaked on the floor, and then Lee then radioed through and, did you just hear that scream? And we're like, no, that was Simon getting off the ladder. And we were like, actually, and the floor was wet at that time, so we would have created that sort of squeak. Then we looked back over where we'd heard it before, and it was around the times where people were moving around. So yeah, it's one of them where the environment can play a part in your paranormal experience. And that's why I think that when we go in later shows and stuff, showing what we do in terms of the hundreds of recorders we got around to try and capture the internal sounds and the external sounds and stuff. That's why we sort of evolved as a team and look at doing all that sort of stuff now. But yeah, venues can definitely play havoc with you if you don't. Yeah, it can definitely have the beating of you if you if you get too carried away, especially from going on a ghost hunt side of things. Andy, was there any questions or anything that we need to be answering, or anyone sort of come up with anything in terms of what we said so far, or just move on?
Well, Yeah, we've got a couple of points that have come up. If you want to make a start on those.
Okay. Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, okay. So,
out of the blue.
Yeah. So we had a comment from Claire, and she said that Fort Woodley is definitely one of her favourites, and the lantern man that walks down the dead end tunnel, I've seen quite a few times when she's been there.
Okay. So the dead end tunnel, is that it depends which. I mean, that could be one or two tunnels, couldn't it? It could be the one that's completely blocked off now that the fire service use. But I suppose I suppose the dead end tunnel, unless you maybe, when you walk down, where that big thing where if you hit that big metal drum thing that you hit and it echoes, there's a little dead end tunnel there as well, isn't there? I wonder what tunnel she means.
Yes, there is the dead. The straight on tunnel.
Yes.
There's a further dead end tunnel, isn't there? Just at the far end of that.
Yeah. I wonder what tunnel it is. Do you know what, Widley is certainly an event, right? That I think that me talking myself, take it for granted a little bit, because it is one of them where it sort of turned for 1 year. It turned into a venue we just think, right, it's 20 minutes away from the house. It's a quick, easy event we can do. But actually, then you start to devalue it a little bit of going there too much. And I think we had a good little time away, and then we went back there. We've caught some amazing evidence there, some stuff that even you think someone like Mark Dunn and Mike, part of the team, some of the evidence they've caught at Widley with the voice they got, and I think Nick did it. Nick was with them as well at one point. They've had some swearing. You remember the slap? Remember the slap with Simon? That was odd. That was on. Yeah. I mean, we were on a break. We were talking, and Simon had no hair, so naturally we shaved the rest of it off. And we were talking about the groups and how things were going. And as we turned around to walk out, all you hear was it was a slap. And I turned around, and then the lady that was having a cigarette because we were on a break said, "Did you just hit him?" We were like, "No, of course we didn't." And then Simon Simon said he felt like someone hit him on the back of the head. Andy, your footsteps at the top were amazing when we found out that the old, especially it sounds like on the stone. I love that. I love that footage now, because
we've caught it 3 times and with different people there.
Is it 3 times there?
Yeah. Once we had just had someone from one of the public groups with us. So me, Beth, and that person. Can't remember her name, unfortunately, but yeah, we were all there, and it happened. And each of those 3 times we recorded it. So it's always the same spot, and it sounds identical each time. But yeah, we were talking on the chat about maybe having a Widley special at some point.
Well, just the whole show on Widley. I think we could probably have 10 shows. The amount of times we've been there, the amount of stuff we've got.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do. It's not Hev. It's not one. It's been quite. Is it a quiet event for you? Do you think, Hev?
I find it a hard venue in the sense that it depends on the dynamic of the group, because as an environment, it's very atmospheric. It's dark tunnels. It's it's got all the ticks for the venue from a haunted, spooky, atmospheric, but from pulling information out with a newbie group, because it's cold, because it's dark, because it's damp. We've got goats running around outside. We've got the security light in the central stairway that goes off. There's loads and loads of things that you've got to consider and debunk before people start getting really excited. If I get good evidence, we get fantastic evidence, but sometimes it's hard pulling it out, and quite a lot of it is a bit random, sort of gibberish. It just depends on the dynamic of the group that we're working with. There were for me, there's easier venues. We've had easier venues. Yeah.
I think.
Sorry, Claire came back and confirmed a little bit about what she saw about the Lantern Man. So he goes off to the spiral staircase, so where the tunnel's caved off at the end. So maybe that's the one where the fireman.
Oh yeah.
So she said he wanders down, then disappears, then comes back again from the fireman tunnel.
Well, in fairness, wasn't that tunnel, but as you coming down to the main area, you've got spiral staircase in front of you. The left-hand side, what's that? Is that the north one or west? Which one's that? I don't know. Anyway, the left-hand side one, as you're going down to we used to put our locked-off cameras down there, and we think, me, Lee, and Simon, and we're facing a camera along the long tunnel, and we look up, and the light was on, and it was light. We sort of, the two of us thought we saw a silhouette of a person. And I said to Lee, "There's someone down the bottom of that tunnel looking at us," and he looked as well. And I said, "After 3, we'll run down there to see." And we sort of ran down the bottom of it. We were knackered by the time we got down the bottom of it, but we got to the bottom of it, and there was no one there at all. So we went through, and obviously it's blocked off there. We went up the stairs and then to the arches bit at the top. We went then up. Lee went straight on to look over the side, and I went up the middle bit, which got the gate that's locked that goes to the top. There was no one around. But we thought we saw someone standing watching us at the bottom there as well. So,
I'll tell you the other thing. How often have we looked up from either the left or the straight on tunnel, and where you've got in that rotunda, you've got that flickering light, haven't you? The one that just never really worked in all the years we've been there. But sometimes it's brighter than other times.
Yeah.
And is there some correlation with there that because we know there's a light there, because we know that light flickers, and because we are our own worst enemy at times, where it's evidence, how can we debunk it?
Yeah.
Do we immediately go, it's the flickering light, and just write it off? Whereas as we've now got another option of what it might be.
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting. I've got another story in similar area. So main tunnel, so not quite the west or the north tunnel, but we'd closed the door, and I'd put a cat ball sort of right down by the door, but just on the wall. I walked back up to where the group was. By the time I'd got up to the group, the cat ball come on, but it came on so quickly you could actually see a black shadow sort of bending down as if they were sort of reaching down to move the cat ball. But because I had only just put it down there, I sort of said, who's behind the ball? Who's moved the ball? Because it seemed so real. But so I saw it, and I was sort of one side of the tunnel, and then a gentleman the other side of the tunnel, he also confirmed what I'd seen. So so that's interesting. Again, that's a prime example of sort of somebody calling out and sort of saying they've seen something, and we have all independently seen something there ourselves.
Yeah. And maybe we do dismiss it because it's maybe we do because it's the maybe we just dismiss it because the light flicker, and we take it for granted because we just expect another team to be there or people to be moving. Yeah. So maybe that is the case. Maybe we have to just keep an eye on that. But we'll put something down there, put a camera down there. Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Something for the next investigation, I think.
We had another Woodley sighting as well from Francine, who said that she was at the bend of a corridor and she heard someone walking behind her. So maybe out of the on the bend corridor. So maybe the D.
Yeah. That's a weird tunnel. That is. I think me and you, Mary, wasn't it? I think. Yeah. We had some weird. Again, do you know that is certainly a tunnel that I don't really tend to use too much. If you've got the bar in the area upstairs, you don't tend to use that tunnel too much because you don't want to have 3 groups down in the tunnel, so you're just conscious of the noise. But yeah, I've probably spent quite a good few years not even investigating that tunnel. But when you do look back on it, there's some good stuff there as well. So maybe it is a venue that we need to pay more attention to in the areas people say. But I think it's a venue that people can relate to, which is good. So that's where you'll get quite a lot of other people's stories. It's a local venue that people sort of tend to go to, really. So interesting. Oh, that's cool then. So yeah, Woodley, we might do a bit of a show on that, or it's certainly be one we'll be heading back to as soon as it's all opened up. But so cool. Okay. So was there any other questions, Andy, or should we just move forward?
I think move forward. I think it's we've been covering a couple of bits. We had a little chat about the block. We've got a few people on the block as well. But no real questions at the moment. I think we can move forward, and I'll capture them as we go along.
No worries.
Not many people, because the block's been knocked down. You don't hear too much from that. We had some good evidence from that, didn't we? So yeah, a really good review you did on YouTube, Andy, on the block actually, with the where we heard the music and then
I just shared the video, but don't watch it now. Watch after the stream.
No, not now. Yeah, watch it later. Yeah, cool. So then, Mark, your turn.
Okay, so I've been with SGS somewhere in between the amount of time Heather's been there and the amount of time Mary's been there. Terrible with dates and times and whatever. It's got to be sort of 7 or 8 years.
Got to be on it.
Okay, what got me into it? It's a long story, which I won't bore you with all the details, but I was only a nipper, sort of 5 or 6, and lost my granddad. Took it quite hard as a kid. And after it was at the end of a week, so the week had seen me have dreams every night about him. They're always the same, different story, but they're always the same. I'd get into trouble, he'd turn up and save me. Except this last night, and in the dream, he came to save me, but he died in the dream. But in between times, he actually came and visited me in my room, sat on the end of my bed, and told me everything's going to be okay. I'm happy. Everything's okay. I'm with loved ones. I'm okay. And he walked out of my bedroom. That was the night that I then had the dream and he passed away, and I never had any more dreams afterwards. It was like he was letting me know that it was okay. And that was one very siloed incident, which then in later years popped back into my head. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, is this just a story that I've made up? But I spoke to my mum, and mum was telling me that she remembered me coming in and telling her that night what had happened. So again, that's not proof that it happened, but it's proof that my recollection of it is accurate. So since then, it's really been a case of, for my own personal interest, trying to say, well, I can never prove that happened, but what I can do is, if I can prove that stuff like that happens, then I've got a bit more faith that it is true. It wasn't just a young lad dreaming something that he needed to believe to make him feel better. So that's kind of how I got into it all. To say like the best evidence or best experience is always a tough one, because I could probably give you 10 different answers. But I'm going to go with one that Dan will appreciate, which was at the Lamb Inn.
I knew you were going to say this one.
And it still spins me out. It was a really low-tech investigation. So we used to use something called Livestream, where people could watch us do an investigation and could ask questions, and it worked quite well. We'd done the Lamb Inn's, it was a 12th century inn.
Yeah.
And we'd done that bit and finished that bit, and we were actually out in what would have been the footprint of where the stables were, but is now like a 1960s-ish motel. Very small rooms, and it was myself, Lee, and Dan. So the room was a narrow corridor room with a bathroom on the right-hand side, opened out into a bedroom. So it had a single bed, a table, and a chair. So it was very basic, but it would have done someone for a couple of nights. All we really had set up was I had my K2. My K2, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a small black box. You've seen it on most of the ghost programs these days. Series of lights, and if spirit energy comes close to it, it can make it light up in varying amounts depending on the amount of energy that they're putting into it. Now, some are quiet, some make noise. Mine luckily makes noise. So that was in the bathroom, and myself and Dan were sat on the bed. Lee was sat on the chair opposite, and Lee had the camera. So the camera was facing us. Lee was the only one who could see the questions that were coming in from the viewers, and all the comments that were coming through. He was the only one that could see that. So we started calling out and doing the usual. Is there anyone there? Are you male? Are you female? That sort of thing. And I'll always try and use it as my control question. If I say, are you male, and it makes a noise, I'll then ask, are you female? Just to try and get that, make sure they understand that noise is yes, silence is no. And we were getting that, so we'd asked for a few questions, and I was starting to get stuck for what to ask next. And the only little bit of research I'd done, I thought, this is never going to work, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. So I started saying, so you're male, okay? Are you? Does your last name begin with a T, and it would make a noise? Is your first name Richard? It said nothing. All right, but do you prefer Dick? And it lit up. Calm down, Dan. And I said, is it Turpin? And it lit up. So we thought, no, it can't be. It can't be. It's just no. It's just somewhat. It's either a spirit winding us up. So we started asking questions, and we must have been going for a good hour. And it had got to the point where I'd certainly exhausted my knowledge of Dick Turpin and what he got up to. So we were similar to the sort of scenario that we're in now. We were saying, look, to the viewers, please do your research, get on Google, get open books, give us questions to ask, but don't tell us the answer until we've confirmed to you what we're getting. And without fail, it was everything. If we were asked something that wasn't true, it was quiet. If we asked something that was true, it was making noise. You know, even to the point of getting the date he was born, the date he died, where he died, working up in numbers to get the right year. Still to this day, for actual evidential material, still blows. And Andy will attest. Andy's obviously our tech guy, and he was watching from another room on the live stream channel, and was actually then underneath us trying to look for a non-paranormal answer to it, trying to check, are we getting sort of like dodgy signals or bad wiring? But it was completely clean underneath, and so that to this day,
scoured that place, all the rooms around outside the building, above the room, below the room. There was nothing anywhere near that.
Mary was you were at home, weren't you? And you were giving us the questions, weren't you? So you were one of the people that would come in and sort of ask this and ask that. But that was mind blowing. But it's also a story that when you tell people, you just almost think, yeah, we spoke to Dick Turpin in Theo or wherever in Reading. They're like, yeah, like it's just one of those stories you don't. But people that know us and know what we went through and know what we would have done. Yeah, it was mind blowing. Honestly, evidence was mind blowing. But
even down to the name of his horse, you know.
Yeah.
I can't even remember it now. You know, it got it.
I know, like, was it 1751, 52, 53, 54? It was nothing. Except 55. Boom! It would go off, and then that last crescendo at the end, saying like, everyone thinks Dick Turpin's, you know, a bit rough, bit tough. Show us how tough Dick Turpin was. And make that light up fully, and the K2 went straight to red.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. It was either someone who knew loads about Dick Turpin completely pulling our leg, or we spoke
supposed to be Dick Turpin historian.
Always best mate. But it is a story that is hard to tell someone that doesn't believe in it. I think, oh yeah, you know, you go there and you can research that. Honestly, I'm telling you now, we're professional ghost hunters to some extent, but we didn't have that level of information at all. You know, what's his horse name? What county was he living in? You know, where was this? Where was that? It was just we'd almost going, is that right? You know, going back to the
we'd run out of stuff. Didn't we? There was at one point you run out of questions to ask.
Right.
It's only a tenuous link that he might have hidden there.
Yeah.
Because the place that we were investigating was on the road from London to York. And that was his, you know, one of his main stomping grounds up and down there. That there was a tenuous link that he might have hidden at some point in the stables of this. But I'm sure every pub along the road had probably got a similar story.
Definitely. Cool, mate. That's a good mate. every time we do sort of things like this, you sort of remember like the stuff that's gone on, and yeah, that's a great story. That was a great bit of evidence that we got. We definitely got that somewhere. We've definitely got the whole video somewhere, but I think I've got a laptop where the screen's broken. I'm sure it's on that. So I'm gonna have to try and look at getting the evidence of that, because I remember downloading. I downloaded all the the early live streams we did. So I've got it. Definitely got it somewhere. I'd love to watch that back. Shame now, like I say, back we would have gone live on Facebook. It would have been saved, but yeah, it's certainly one when you look at. But I'd love to review that and see what we can get off of it. Cool, Andy. Then do you want to go?
Yeah. So I'm Andy, and I'm the tech guy. So my responsibilities are looking after equipment, but also in SGS we focus on controls quite a lot. So a lot of the work I do is to make sure that we've got the best recording abilities across a venue, even the areas that aren't being investigated. So when we investigate, we set up outside, inside, each room where at all possible, logging the audio, visual in some places, but also all the environmental conditions, so that when people do experience things, we've got a baseline which we can then check against to see if that was something which was natural or not. So that's a lot of what I focus on, just giving people that control, so when people go investigate, they have something to go, was that normal or not? And otherwise, I've been working on the new site, which went live today, so that was kind of exciting, and designing that to be in line with when we investigate, so we can then share what we've actually caught with people and also what we've caught previously. So most people, when they start investigating, they do it based on they've had something that's happened and it's given them an interest. It wasn't like that with me. I kind of grew up in school, going to the library, getting out the Osborne Book of Ghosts and every other spiritualist book that they had in the school library, so much that my English teacher once went up to me and said, stop reading those books, here is a Mills and Boon. So it was more like an academic interest to start off with. It was like a mystery, something that people haven't really figured out yet, and there was so many reports, and I just read hundreds and hundreds of case studies of what's gone on, and that really intrigued me. How are people seeing and hearing and witnessing so many different things, yet people who haven't witnessed them don't believe them entirely? That makes no sense to me. There must be something to it for this many different events to occur, that I was interested in that. So I started based on completely on that, trying to understand what was actually happening out there. So I'd seen something weird happen on the stream.
Yeah.
It seems to be kicking everyone out.
You and Mark disappeared for a little bit, and then we came back.
Yeah, they've they're trying to stop me.
Yeah.
They're trying to tell the powers above.
Yeah, you don't want the truth. That's what it is.
You can't handle the truth.
Right, I think we're okay now. Kind of. Ev's gone a little small, but she'll get bigger again.
Yay!
So I started investigating based on, I wanted to know if there was anything to it, and then after a period of time, I'd witnessed enough things which I couldn't explain, and I'd recorded enough things which I didn't have any answer for, that I thought, okay, there's something to it. Now I want to understand more about it. How does these things exist? What things are linked to other things? What's the mechanics behind it? So then that's when we started all working together to try and capture things in a way which we could disprove even later down the line. Favorite location experience so far? I'll keep saying Widley, because Widley is we've been there 35 times or something like that now, and because you get so familiar with a location, you can forget about getting lost, and you forget about knowing where things are, and you can focus on, hang on, that's not, we don't normally get that, that's a weird thing. And because you go back a few times, you can then try and recapture the same thing. And going back to what I was saying before, capturing the same thing over several different times starts giving you some variables you can work with to try and work out why you're catching it. So yeah, being in Widley, and the experience is being able to repeatedly capture those footsteps on the battlements, which sound like they're walking on gravel, but the whole place is overgrown now, and experiencing them with several different people. So you know that it's not nothing you're hearing, and it's not a misidentification, and you were able to record it in several different places down the length of the thing. That's my favourite experience, I think.
Cool. So, me then, I suppose. I'm sure we've got 10 minutes left of the official hour we were going to go for, so sit back and enjoy. No, so I'm Dan. I generally do the day-to-day running of the Southern Ghost Society, set up the venues. I suppose most interaction will come from myself, of your messaging or Facebooking and stuff, and generally book all the events and responsible for all that side of things, really, as well as on the event becoming sort of more of a sort of team leader, certainly for the newer ones that come on. So we'll end up being stuck with me and Hev for a little bit until they fed up with us and request to go with someone else. So that's generally what I do. Favorite experience, how I got into it was, again, away from the whole ghost hunting scene. It was at a time when I didn't even think it was a ghost until sort of sometime later, really. I always tell this story. So when I was younger, we used to go fishing, and I had a catapult called a Black Widow, and it's a weapon. You know, my mum always said to me, "You can only ever take it fishing. Do not take it out of the house." And obviously, me being the curious boy that I was, decided to take it down. I live in Netley Abbey, so I took it down the front of Netley, and I was firing stones. So I was at the sort of back end of Netley Castle, which was at the time or still is now a nursing home. So I'm firing stones into the water. Again, harmless, not harming anyone, but again, it always in the back of my mind that my mum catches me out with this, I'm in all sorts of trouble. So she's
not watching, is she?
No, I don't know. Actually, I just realised I'm live on Facebook. Mum, I'm making a story up. So I'm firing. I'm conscious. I turn around thinking, I've got to keep my wits about me. Turn around, and as I turn around, on the steps of the castle, what I saw was the doorway, and in front of that doorway was a nurse, and she like brown sort of bobbed hair. She had a hat with a red cross on it, or a bonnet or whatever it was with a red cross. She had an apron on, and in front of her was a wicker basket with white linen in. I looked at her and thought, crap, like she's going to tell mum. So I literally, in a state of panic, put the catapult into the stone, buried the evidence, I guess, and then ran off down the beach. And it wasn't until I got some sort of time away that I thought, it can't happen. It can't have been what it was. Now, even if you can have this plausible story that there was a reenactment day at there, I think that a sort of, a nurse in a full nurse's uniform would have scared the life out of the patients that would have been, or the patients, or the people that would have been there. So just not a really plausible explanation. But actually, when you go back and see where it was, where I saw her, and again, a tribute of her coming out the doorway is no longer there. It's just the arch. There would have been a doorway, but it's just an arch now that's bricked up. And was at the time. So she physically didn't come out of that door. There'd been no rhyme or reason for her to be there. And again, I think from that point, it just spiraled my interest of what the hell was that? Went back, got the catapult, and then from that point, become fascinated with, could there be something out there? And then I suppose I let it drop a little bit, and then my wife owned a pub, and my wife's family owned a pub in Stoke-on-Trent, and always had reports of being haunted and stuff. So we'd go up there and do little mini investigations, stuff like that. And then my mum and my family bought me a ticket to go on a ghost hunt in a castle, and I absolutely loved it. And then, from that point, it's just been sort of inseparable, really. And I think it was going on events with other people. Just thought it's something that we could do as long as we sort of positioned ourselves right as a group of enthusiasts. And I think we were at Tutbury Castle up in Derby, and the room was so atmospheric. But I was in a room with, I want to say, like 40 other people, and people said to me, "Did you feel anything?" And I thought, well, yeah, I felt his elbow next to me and the woman next to me, her elbow, because we were so tightly packed that, and we had the events company we went on with, they were like, "Oh, there's someone standing in the corner, there's this, that, and the other," lots of suggestion things going on. And I just thought, you know what, if we positioned ourselves with a group of enthusiasts, we go back with the right numbers, we do it right, we do it, not necessarily do it right, but do it in a way where limited numbers of people coming on it, and just really start to investigate it, and give people the opportunity to break down in small numbers, control the environment. And that was 10 years ago, and this is where we are already. So that was that. Favorite experience, very much like Mark. I've got favorite locations for favorite experiences and so on, but I think one that sort of sticks sticks with me. Again, you're going to hate me for saying it, but it is when we went over to Venice. And I won't, again, it's probably a show in itself, really. And I hate using the V word now because the team just sighed, but we had the opportunity to go over to Portvillia, Mark's yawning, to go over to Portvillia. We spent time on the island, myself and Mark and Mike and Lee and our friend Paul, and we were filming and we caught an EVP. Again, go and watch the video, I think, is on YouTube. Go and listen to the EVP. The EVP is for me the best evidence we've ever caught, in my humble opinion, of course. But yeah, the whole fact of that was amazing. We caught an EVP, but we caught a voice that we didn't hear at the time. Andy was listening on Livestream, so we were in Venice. Andy's back in England. They're watching us wander around this island, scaring the crap out of ourselves. And all of a sudden, the sort of building up story to it was I had said, I want to understand who's still here. Is there a way I can help you? Or maybe there's a way you can help us. And we caught a voice that we think says, I want to get out of here. We didn't hear it at the time. And then Andy sort of radios through or says through, listen, guys, you've just caught an EVP, go back. And it wasn't until we listened back that we heard it. And I think it's one of my best ever experiences, but again, a frustrating one, because at the time we thought it said, get out of here. So then I went down the route of going, well, why do you want us to get out of here? I went completely along the wrong lines, where actually, when you listen back to the whole story, I'd said, how can we help you? And it said, I want to get out of here. So yeah, an amazing experience. Again, a video that's on our YouTube. So after the show's finished, go and have a little look at the YouTube, because we spent a lot of time over lockdown revamping the vids and videos on there and trying to bring you the evidence. But yeah, that's myself really. That's how where it was all born. And yeah, still investigating 10 years on, 400 odd venues down, and yeah, looking forward to many more. So we initially said we're going to be on for an hour. It's 9:27. Was there any more questions we should try and tackle? Is there anything that's come in?
A couple of bits. So we've got Don, who said they're always disbelievers, but until you go to one of the events, you never truly know. He's been with his daughter and son-in-law and was blown away with what happened through the night. And Stacey's on, and she recalls that and said, I think it was something about a spy.
Yeah. It must have been in my group, I reckon. Sort of feedback like that's got to come from someone. I don't actually know. I'm not sure they were. I don't think they were. But no, it is nice. I think I sort of remember the story. I think that, I say, coming along as relative newbies in terms of like us, and then picking up that sort of evidence. I think I remember going away thinking, shit, that's it was really good interaction, and nice to sort of pick it up. So I remember the event they were on. That was a cool one. I'll have to come back again.
Do you remember anything about a spy at all?
Oh, I've gone. Well, a spy? No. Am I still on? I think I just pressed the wrong button. Am I still? Can you still see me?
Yeah.
I just closed it down. I thought I'd just prematurely gone. I think it was. I'm sure they were. Was it not Victoria House? I'm sure it was Victoria House.
It was.
I'm pretty sure it was there.
Yeah, I'm sure it was Victoria House.
Wasn't it to do with the code? Wasn't that the one where they gave a code?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think it might have been actually.
They were just really cagey. We were asking questions, and the answers were just really guarded answers. And of course, are you connected with the building? Are you connected to the people here? And we're trying to get the profession or something like that. And I just remember the answers coming out were so guarded. And then I think somebody suggested, were you a spy? And it was like tongue in cheek. But yeah, it was good. It was a good evening, and it's good that if you've got somebody that comes onto an event that is a skeptic, but I always say to them, stay open-minded, and then make your decision at the end of the evening after you've had the experiences. You can still, be a non-believer. And I think some of our bester evenings, when we've done at Victoria House, where we have the employee evenings, and we've had people on that that have completely, almost defensively, not into it at all, there because they've brought their daughter along. And then I think that it was Mick, wasn't it? It was in your group, Mark, and by the end of the evening he was completely blown away. Yeah,
didn't know how he could go back to his colleagues and tell them he'd encountered.
Yeah. He looked up when put in a straitjacket for even suggesting what he'd actually experienced. But and that's what it's about. It's about coming with an open mind. Don't being closed down to the possibilities, and see what happens. And if nothing happens, you don't get a refund. That's the policy, isn't it, Dan?
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, we've updated. Yeah, that's definitely the case. No, we've always said the same thing through that. I'd rather someone walk away going, that was rubbish, nothing happened, than actually that was rubbish, was Dan or Mark or Mary or Andy faking it, you know? So, yeah, you'd always walk away. I'd rather someone get a genuine experience and walk away thinking, actually, that was, those guys were pushing the glass or they'd made that noise to make something happen. And that's, always been our stance from day dot, really. So,
okay. So, we also had a question from Paul. And that was, with the lockdown closing down venues, what place have you found that you're able to access still?
No comment.
And follow up is, have you also have you ever anything followed you home from investigation?
Okay, I'll answer the last one.
That's the easier one.
So with lockdown closing, what venues have you found access? There are venues you can access. I think that from ourselves, we've put a lot of things on hold. I think that early on we'd finished the investigation. Finished our quota investigations. A lot of venues were really forgiving and were able to cancel and refund or sort of change over. Really, there are still venues out there you can investigate. The problem we've got, I guess, is back when we were most open up during lockdown, you could have 6 people in a pub. So we were taking this in the entertainment sector. You could have 6 people, but that was it. I suppose when we did the last couple of events in October, that's the rule we took. But it's still really, really hard. So we sort of decided as a group that we would not investigating on the head until we really get a clear steer, or until the infection rate drops or the death rate drops, or when we're able to confidently put on an event. It's all right mixing 6 households, but if you think about that from me, say for instance, the prison we did is a great example. 6, 12, 18, 24 were due to be on it. If we take in the stance of we're having 24 people, you've got your team leaders, and then I'm mixing with 6 other households and then coming back home. It just didn't feel safe. Although we were compliant as we can, and we did that way. We went through bottles of disinfectant and cleaners and wipes to all the equipment, and we didn't share, and we put loads of provisions in place. It just was one of them where we just thought, from a safety point of view, let's take time to restock. It's been a really good time for us as well, because we've been able to review evidence. We've updated the website now, which has become a lot more user friendly. It's a lot more modern, but also it's a lot more evidence based. So as we evolve as a team and do more investigations, that site will become so interactive that you'll be able to look at past investigations, past evidence, where we're heading to, why we're heading there, and just generally become part of the SGS community, really, rather than just a number that comes on the event. We want you guys involved with us as much as we can, and that's I think what the new site's going to bring. Anything you ever investigate, follow you home. That's a whole new story in itself in terms of stuff that's happened. But I do a little ritual that I've done since the very first investigation. It was even from an investigation that we wasn't with ourselves. I get once when we're on an investigation, when we're coming to the end, if it's been quite an intense time, when there's been lots of activity, then we'll always close that down. So if we're doing a board, we say, listen, thank you ever so much for the communication. Can we move to goodbye? And almost stop that communication from there. When I get home, to rewind a little bit, if we've had personal messages or emotions are quite high, or there's times where we feel we need to close down, then myself and Hev will then hold a bit of a session at the end and just close down the night, and then ask for stuff to almost go back from where they came and stay put, thanking them for their communication, but almost drawing a line there. Then, like I say, my neighbours must think I'm mental, but no matter what time it is, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, I get to the threshold of my house, I turn my back to the front door, and I say, thank you ever so much for your communication tonight. Please go back to where you came. And I don't know whether it works. It makes me feel a whole lot better at 3 o'clock in the morning. Also, my wife's always said she'll always kill me if I bring anyone home, bring a spirit home, or make sure the house is haunted. So my house remains unhaunted. So I do a little ritual, but I don't know whether anyone else does anything, any silly little quirks or any superstitions that they have. But that's what I tend to do. Just close it off and sleep.
No, I'm all right there because I stay at your house.
I know. Good shout, actually. Yeah, that's why. I
wonder why you keep going around and telling me to go home.
Because you've not got the hint, you always end up staying, Mark. So yeah. But I don't know whether Mary, Andy, And
I
yeah, is there anything
generally
you
say
guys?
to people, don't follow me home. My sense of direction is awful.
I reckon you've had people follow you home, but where you've got lost, they've just given up and just gone elsewhere.
Speak to John and Michael. We went round Newbury roundabouts about 5 times. It was awful. But paranormal, no, nothing's followed me home. So.
No.
No experiences at all like that. No.
I'm going to surprise you guys, and this is going to generally surprise you. So I had a sort of a slightly Wiccan phase, and I kind of kept a lot of that sort of with me. A lot of that kind of thought about energies and your own personal will and understanding how you affect other people. And there's some really good messages in it. And when I first started investigating, I always carried a bag of salt in the kit bag. Next to all the batteries and the K2 meters, there was a little bag of salt. And before we went out to investigation, I'd salt the doorway. And also keep a wreath of sage above the door as well. And I don't salt the doorway anymore because it was eating away the wood. But I still refresh my my wreath to this day, so I still have a wreath of sage above the doorway, and make a mental kind of crossing over the threshold when I come home at 3 a.m. in the morning.
That absolutely shocked me. Honestly, from I think anyone's come on an event to see yourself and Beth, all that sort of mountains of equipment, and sort of and it's sort of going down more the tech route, and not that you reversed what we do in terms of sort of the boards and the rods, but it's not really stuff you partake. We always have a joke with Beth, don't we, in terms of you got the rods or the pendulum stuff like that. We always have a bit of a sort of personal joke, but it is interesting to see what little quirks people do, I guess, that keep themselves safe.
But now I've never had anything follow me home, and I'm not sure if it's that or, like you said, just that's not something that happens or not. But yeah, on that bombshell.
God, I like it. Well, do you know what we had? It happens all the time. We have sort of a week of planning and prepping for the show, and this is what we're going to be doing. And if there's dead time on the show, we've got questions and this, that, and the other. And we've almost done our time, and we've not even delved half into what we plan to do, which is a good thing because it gives us other content, but it also allows the guys that are watching us to see what we're doing, see what we're talking about, and then anything you want us. This would be a live video on Facebook, I guess, so you're still able to comment. You're still able to sort of comment, watch back. If you're not watching this live, still comment on it because we're still getting notifications. And suggest what you want to see sort of moving forward. If it's evidence you want us to bring you, it's always a big one, and that's normally things that come through. But yeah, sort of general sort of format in the shows. And also, if there's any questions that come up that you ask now that you don't feel like we've covered too much, or you asked when when it goes onto Facebook or where it goes onto YouTube, we try and answer them in the next show, so we can bring those questions and answers to you. It may be something we don't know, something we want to go back and research, or something we just missed because you're not watching this live. What we'll do is we'll go back over, we'll review the questions, and then the start of every show, anything that sort of bubbled over from the following week, we'll answer, and we'll do our best to do that for you, really. But tonight we had sort of a set questions that we were going to ask each other, set questions. We're going to sort of almost have a bit of a question and answer time about questions we were asked from the previous shows and other times we got together, common questions we get asked. When we meet people, when we tell people what we do. But I suppose with it being, an hour and 10 minutes we've done, then that's something we can wait, I guess, for another time. We've got another member or another someone. And our mascot.
Yeah, we had Donna and Francine, maybe another couple of people who said that they've got some interesting things to show us. So hopefully we can see them soon.
Yeah, that'd be good. I know Fran said about a venue we might be able to have as well. So, and saw Bob's question about still trying to get a date with us about that. So I'll promise Bob I'll message him after this and get that set up. But yeah, lots of exciting things happening here with us already. And going back to Paul's thing about venues, I think venues now being in tier 2, I don't know. I don't really know how you can conduct an investigation. For me, I know there are investigations going on, but it's my understanding in tier 2 that in pubs you can go in, but as long as it's in your family bubble. So how you can host an investigation at the moment?
Probably only if you do a substantial meal with it.
Yes, yeah. I don't know how. Generally, if we were investigating tonight, you think someone like Fort Widley, which I know is being advertised, Fort Widley, in the next couple of weeks. I don't know how I do it. Unless you're saying you can only book, you're only going to be with your family, which means you could potentially have 10 groups, 10 individual groups, because I don't know how you're going to mix. I suppose the only way you can get around it is outdoors. Outdoors, you can go to a pub and sit outdoors. Is that right? And with the rule of 6 still, I think. But then again, Widley's indoors, so I don't get it. But people are still. I think there are some investigations, but I'd rather not host an investigation where we pay anything from 20 to 80 quid a ticket, and then say, well, you can't do that, or we can't go in there, or we can't do this, or you're not going to get, you can't do the debrief at the end, or we can't do the bit at the beginning. The interaction's lost at the moment where we can't intermingle, and I'm no good at sticking to one team, so for me it rules me out straight away. So I like to mingle. I'm so nosy. It's good to sort of interact with everyone, but we'll be back, and we've got a good little list we're collating in terms of where we're going to be heading back to, and some new venues we're going to be heading to. So we will be back, and I think what lockdown has done is opened up quite a few new places. I reckon we've probably got 5 new venues that have not commonly known to people, or stuff we've been working. So loads of different opportunities as well. But I'm normally done. 2021 would normally be completely booked up now, and people would know. And in fairness, by now we're probably normally sold out until March, April time. Our events are. We're not doing that yet because it's it's deposits you're paying out when you're not sure you can host an event yet. We almost want to try and get Christmas out of the way. January can be a bit of a tough month financially, and weather. I was going to say weatherly then, but weather as well. So yeah, two elements that make it sometimes harder to sell tickets and people not traveling. And with a pandemic on, yeah, we're going to see that. But what we're trying to do is do these shows, and while we're away from events, we'll do a lot of these shows and try and bring to you, try and keep your thirst for the paranormal quenched, I guess, and bring some evidence to you and what we've been doing. And yeah, we've got the new site open now. I know Andy mentioned it now. The new site is back open, so a chance for you to go on there. A lot of similar stuff you would have seen that you do, but make sure that if you're not a member, go and be a member, because that's where you'll get the first tickets, that's where you'll get the first videos and so on, and really just ahead of the game once we do start to announce stuff. I do try and put stuff on Facebook as well as the site, but yeah, once the tickets go live on there, it is a complete free-for-all. And we're probably going to launch next year. We're going to do some reduced venues, so there might only be 5 to 6 tickets available from events with the team coming along, so you're more than welcome to join us on them, but tickets go quite quickly. But apart from that, like I say, the next couple of shows we'll discuss, and we'll give enough notice to say when we're going to be next on. But yeah, we'll have a little think. But if you've got some topics that you want us to cover and talk about, then chuck them over on the chat. Contact us if you want to.
We do have an important one just before we go. Rachel wants to know how the kitty cat is.
Rachel, how the kitty? What, the cat? What, Heather's cat?
Yeah.
Little Charlie, he's quite content, I think.
Yeah.
He seems quite happy. There we go. Look at Charlie, you're famous.
Yeah.
Very comfortable there.
He's very comfy, yeah. He was feeling a little bit left out. But yeah, no, he's cool. He just likes his very cuddly cat. So he's been quite well behaved most of the evening, just sat quietly. But yeah, deficit of attention, I think. But he's cool.
Definitely topic to cover.
US member.
Yeah, we have to get him a coat or something with SGS on some advertising. Animals investigations, that's another one. I've always wanted to take a dog on an investigation, because they say that they're quite susceptible, aren't they, to spirits and stuff, and it's frowned upon kids with you. So
probably shouldn't all take a dog though.
That'll be a freak.
That'd
be weird and noisy. No, but yeah, we won't be doing that. But yeah, so apart from that, the show will be the next certainly within the next week or a couple of weeks, and we'll look at the topics if anyone suggested. But if not, then we've got loads of sort of questions that we want to cover, loads of good, interesting topics in terms of questions that Mary sort of thought out, but also stuff that's been born from the other shows and stuff. So it'd be interesting to see what we get through. We always end up sort of going off on a tangent and asking questions, but it's been good tonight. So first of many, hopefully. Let us know, like I say, in the comments what you want to see, or what anything you want answered, and we'll be live on here. And please like and share and share the videos, and get some more members, and hopefully in the not too distant future we'll be coming live on one of our events and be able to sort of get you involved. If you can't get down to us and investigate, then you can join us live on one of our events on Facebook and interact that way as well. But it's been good this evening, and we appreciate the questions that have come in, and appreciate you guys giving up your Saturday night to. I know you all got busy diaries out there, you know. So, but I appreciate your time, guys, and I suppose that's it from me. Andy, anything else you want to cover before we go, or should we say good night and hopefully see people soon?
Yeah, let's. I think, like I said, we should cover anything else on the next stream. But otherwise, yeah, I think we covered it all. Everyone's happy to see us again, and hopefully see them next time we stream.
Definitely. I'll have my hair cut by then, so I won't be wearing a stupid hat. So
You do look a bit like a Teletubby with the heart above your head.
a heart.
Yeah, there's a little heart behind you. Makes you look a bit like a Teletubby.
Okay. Let's show my sensitive side, the heart behind me. It's just a stupid hat and the lockdown hair, but I'll get my hair cut next week. So we'll prim and proper next time we speak. But it's been good, guys. Thanks again for your time, and for you guys watching at home, thank you for tuning in, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Excellent.
Cheers all.
See you later.